think confidence always comes from talking about something you know. So it's how do you tap into people's natural knowledge and make them realize that they're really just sharing what they know. I work with a script framework. So what I tell everyone to do is imagine that you have to get someone hooked with that first sentence. So the first sentence is important. Let's think of a statistic. Let's think of a question, something that will make somebody want to say, ooh, I want to find out more. Once you've decided what the topic is, I suggest putting three key points as bullet points. Don't memorize it, don't write it out, because it doesn't matter how you say it. You know the knowledge. As long as you hit 1, 2, 3, leave it alone, right? And at the end, you need a call to action. You want to tell people what do you want them to do with this information, and keep it to one call to action. All these people who are like, subscribe and like and follow and comment, like you're confusing everybody. What do you want me to do?
Do you know that you can be a reason for changing people's life from this channel? Probably you will ask me how. I will tell you how. My name is Ahmed Khalid and I am the host of this Unleash podcast. We speak mainly around personal development and entrepreneurship. Our mission is unleashing the human greatness to its utmost potential. And this is by interviewing CEOs, entrepreneurs and coaches physically in Dubai to extract their wisdom and change your life. Now, can I ask you to do me 2 favors? Firstly, can you hit the subscribe button? It helps this channel to grow more than you expect. Secondly, can I ask you also to refer this channel to 3 of your friends who can benefit from the values of this channel, and you will be the reason of changing their life. Now, you can enjoy the episode. Reem, are you ready to unleash?
Totally.
100%?
1000%.
Reem, nice to meet you. Pleasure having you today. I'm always inspired by the work that you are doing on LinkedIn and social media. And I see you have a radiation of positivity once I see a post on LinkedIn and how you inspire people. But I'm always having this belief. Behind everything that we're doing in our life, there is a story and there is a why. And I'm so inspired to listen your why of doing what you're doing today on social media.
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. And I'm equally inspired by all the content you put out there, because I think that's something we have in common, that we're both believers in being visible and encouraging other people. And because it's a journey and we all started somewhere. So it's how to encourage others to take that first step and really put yourself out there. And yeah, it's something I'm very passionate about. You asked me what my why is. I think it's a number of things, actually. I think for me, I grew up loving the world of film and TV. And I realized, I used to consume so much content. And, I work in an industry where, I work in the film and TV industry. I've always been producing content behind the camera, behind the scenes. And I would always look at all of these personalities in front of the camera. And I genuinely used to think, why are they famous? I'd sit there and go, why are they famous? I mean, think about it. They're doing their job. We're watching them do their job. And we're making them famous for doing their job. I'd sit there thinking, if people watched me do my job, I would be famous, And this was such a core belief for me. And actually, I think that's helped me in this industry because it taught me that no matter who the personality is, at the end of the day, they're all people. We're all the same, so there's nothing that changes or differentiates them from you. So why is it that certain people get the lion's share of attention and visibility and others don't? And as I got older and I started my own company and I realized that, it's time for me to stop talking about it and being behind the camera and taking that first step and actually putting myself in front. And I think it's one of those things that, culturally as well, being female, being Arabic, a lot of people are like, what are you doing? عيب, هيعطوك عين, all of these statements. But I remember very clearly working with a celebrity chef. I tell this story often because it means a lot. Manal Al-Alam. I think a lot of people know Manal. And we were doing a cooking series with her. And I asked her, how did you start? And she said it was her kids. She said her kids told her she was always a great chef. She really should put her first video out there. And she's like, okay, they helped her. They put that first video. And then a week later, they're like, Mama, it did so well. You have to put a second one. And she's like, what? A second one? How am I going to do a second one? And they pushed her and they forced her and they put the second one out. And that did really well as well. And I think in about 3 years, she crossed like 3 million followers on Instagram. And we were actually filming in her basement where she has built her own kitchen for filming purposes. I love sharing this story because for me, Manal is someone, she didn't grow up with social media. She didn't grow up with cameras. She's a woman in her 60s who her kids pushed her to be on social media and has now turned this into a completely new revenue stream for her. It's a second life, you know? And it made me feel like if someone like Manal can do this, I can do this. We can all do this, you know? So it was that extra push that made me think, Halas, the time is now.
I need to be in front of the camera.
I need to do it, but not just from a vanity perspective, from a perspective of realizing that a lot of people come to me for advice. You know, they want to understand how to start creating videos or how to help with content production, or even my entrepreneurial journey. A lot of people come to me for advice. So I noticed that by putting content out there, I'm serving more people, you know? So it's a way of amplifying your message. It's a way of reaching the masses versus one-to-one, you're one-to-many. And it made sense. So we'll discuss this in a lot more detail, but for me, that was the starting point. It was working with these individuals, realizing that they're just like you and me. And the only difference is they turned around one day, took action, and started changing from being a content consumer to a content creator. And that's in everybody's hands these days.
I'm inspired by your story, but how do you define personal brand? If I may ask you, what is the definition of personal brand from your perspective?
From my perspective, it is the voice that you put out there into the world. It's how you want other people to see you. When someone hears your name, says your name, what do you want to be known for? So whenever I run any of my workshops, the number one question I always ask is, what do you want to be known for? If you can identify the answer to that question, then all of the content you put out there should resonate with that. So as a result, your personal brand embodies who you are and positions you in that space. So I want to be known, for years I used to say I want to be known as a content creation coach. And then I realized even that was too vague. You know, actually, what I want to be known as is a video and TV expert. That's what I want to be known as. So my whole experience is in this field. So it's how do you embrace your knowledge? How do you put it out there? Teach people so they learn from you, become that credible expert in your field, and represent who you are. That's what a personal brand is to me.
So do you have some sort of criteria or components for building a personal brand on social media especially?
I think for me, as I mentioned, it's answering that one question. What do you want to be known for? It's looking at the area of expertise that you have. So a lot of people underestimate this. They don't realize that they've been working in a specific industry or field for years, and they probably have way more knowledge than the average person. So why not embrace that and become an expert in that? I would also say to niche it down. So in every industry, there is so much you can say, but how do you niche it down? For example, we work with a chef. I love talking about him too. Chef Sven, one of my favorite chefs. And he, you know, if you type in chef or baker, you're going to get a whole list of chefs and bakers in Dubai. But he's decided he is passionate about bread, right? So this is the second component, is passion. You need to be passionate about whatever the topic is you're creating content about. And because he's passionate about bread, he can tell you about the 350 different types of sourdough that are out there. I've learned so much about sourdough, it's not even funny. But he's positioned himself as a bread chef, an expert bread chef. So if you Google bread chef, he comes top of the list, right? He's owned that space. So how do you take all of your knowledge and own that space? And I think that's what it is. It's how to position yourself and your brand accordingly.
I see you always in front of the camera, very authentic. And I do remember also when I started on LinkedIn and I took this decision of going in front of the camera, it was a hard decision. And also I do remember that I had like 40 words. I believe that you had also the same agony like that. 40 words scripted, 40 words. I said like 7 hours to complete it. And when I look in front of the camera, I look at myself and I didn't like myself at all. How do we get this confidence in front of the camera? Do you have any framework? How can we improve our self-confidence in front of the camera?
I think confidence always comes from talking about something you know. So if I were to ask you a question now about supply chain, I know your background is in supply chain, you'd probably answer it with your eyes closed. You don't need a script, right? So it's how do you tap into people's natural knowledge and make them realize that they're really just sharing what they know. And one way of doing that is I work with a script framework. So what I tell everyone to do is imagine that you have to get someone hooked with that first sentence. So the first sentence is important. Let's think of a statistic. Let's think of a question, something that will make somebody want to say, ooh, I want to find out more. Okay. So for example, a lot of my videos start with statistics. It could be something like, did you know that 93% of people have made a sale using a video on social media? Just by saying that, people go, 93%? Oh my God, I need to find out more. I need to start doing videos, right? Or I might say, have you been struggling getting in front of the camera? I know how that feels because I've been on that journey. And now I've got people going, oh my God, yeah, I'm struggling getting on camera. It's me. So starting with a question or a statistic often hooks somebody. So that first sentence is really important. So I do put some time into that first sentence. Beyond that, honestly, once you've decided what the topic is, I suggest putting three key points as bullet points. Don't memorize it. Don't write it out, because it doesn't matter how you say it. You know the knowledge. As long as you hit 1, 2, 3, leave it alone, right? And at the end, you need a call to action. You want to tell people what do you want them to do with this information, and keep it to one call to action. All these people who are like, subscribe and like and follow and comment, like you're confusing everybody. What do you want me to do?
One call to action.
One call to action. And it can change per video. So I think once you get into this rhythm of I need a hook, I need 3 bullet points, and I need a call to action, it simplifies it for a lot of people. And they realize, oh, this isn't as complicated as I thought it was, right? And suddenly it becomes more natural, especially when I encourage you not to script it. Because I honestly believe when you script, you get stuck memorizing, you get stuck remembering. Exactly. It's like, oh, I didn't say it the way I planned, and suddenly it's like, oh, that's not what it was meant to sound like. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter. The main thing is the core message is received and someone has learned something from you.
Someone like you is with this great experience. I believe that you just put the framework in terms of not script, key points, and move forward. But sometimes when I started, when I don't script, because I'm at the beginning, I found that maybe I take like 10 minutes to put just the values that I want to say. How can I fine tune my message, even in an improvising way, not scripting way? I say it from my heart, and at the same time, just have clear message and to the point.
I think people get very carried away in video content and they want to share everything they know under the sun, So I think, remember, there's a difference between attracting a new audience member and serving your existing audience. So most of the content people put out there on social media really should be attracting a new audience. If you're attracting a new audience, you want to keep it short, right? When I say short, under a minute short. Think about how you behave. If someone sends me a video, the first thing I look at is the duration. And then I think, do I have time to watch this video? If it's under a minute, okay, khalas, I'll give them a chance. If it's over a minute, I don't have time for this, right? So you don't want anyone to have that objection. So for starters, you're keeping it short. So if you're keeping it short already, there's not enough time in under a minute to say a lot. So what I always advise everyone is to pick one key message. One key message. The main thing is after they watch this, they've learned this one thing. And if you focus on one key message, it's much easier in terms of the confidence, the learning, you don't have to think too much about what to say. So I think it all starts with simplifying as much as possible.
Unleash is the bridge between my purpose and my mission. And my mission is unleashing the human greatness to its utmost potential.